Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being part of our council meeting tonight. I'd like to call the city council meeting to order. Mary Jo, can you please call the roll?
Andy Selhertz.
Here.
Kathy Pucci.
Here.
Aaron Borowski.
Here.
Kevin Tansky.
Here.
Sue Grodick.
Here.
Ron Van Kirk.
Here.
Meg Ryan Shaki.
Here.
Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I turn it over to Mr. Borowski for our opening this evening.
Thank you. The holy and gracious God, we pray for the people of Ukraine and the people of Russia, for the countries and their leaders. We pray for all of those who are afraid, that your everlasting arms hold them into this time of great fear. We pray for all of those who have the power over life and death, that they will choose for all people life, and life in all of its fullness. We pray for those who choose war, that they will remember that you direct your people to turn our swords into plowshares and seek for peace. We pray for leaders on the world stage, that they are inspired by the wisdom and courage of Christ. And above all, Lord, today we pray for peace for Ukraine. And we ask this in the name of your blessed Son. Lord, have mercy. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Borowski. At this time, we have a resolution in support of Ukraine, the brave Ukrainian people fighting for their freedom, and all efforts of the United States government to offer aid and assistance to them to resist the invading Russian military forces in declaring emergency. This is resolution number 2022-9. So once again, I'll turn it over to Mr. Borowski since he's the one that requested this legislation.
And I'm permitted to go. I'd like to invite Mr. Roman Feduk from the United Ukrainian Organizations of Ohio to the podium with me. Thank you for coming. Russia has invaded its neighbor, Ukraine, in an apparent effort to topple a democratically elected government and install a puppet regime favorable to the Putin autocracy. A nearly overwhelming military invasion force has attacked Ukraine from multiple locations along their shared border and the border of Russia's ally, Belarus. And the noble, courageous people of Ukraine have bravely resisted and continue to resist while outgunned and militarily outmatched. And the city of Brooklyn and its neighboring communities are home to many people of Ukrainian descent. The council believes that it is most desirable to express its support for Ukraine and the people of Ukraine, and to seek the full support of the United States government to come to the aid of Ukraine in their hour of greatest need. Now therefore be it resolved by the council of the city of Brooklyn, county of Cuyahoga, and state of Ohio, that Mayor Gallagher and Brooklyn City Council supports all efforts of Ukraine and the Ukrainian people to maintain their freedom and throw out the Russian invasion, and asks the federal government to extend to Ukraine all aid, both militarily, equipment, and humanitarian, to their effort.
Resolution number 2022-9, introduced by all, suspend the rules.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
To adopt, Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Thank you for being here this evening. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Take a minute to speak.
At this time, we'll go ahead and have the public session.
Did he want to?
And so with that public session, you can start it off tonight. If you could just state your name and address for the record and then make your comments.
Sure. My name is Roman Fedku. I'm at 5908 Edgehill Drive in Parma Heights, Ohio. I am a board member of the United Ukrainian Organizations of Ohio, as well as the chairman of Ukrainian Village in Parma, Ohio. And on behalf of our Ukrainian community, we would like to thank Mayor Gallagher, Council President, and all of City Council for passing this resolution. As you know, this has been a very tough time for a lot of our Ukrainians here in the area, and we appreciate all of the support that we have received from everyone here. We have been overwhelmed with people reaching out to us on different levels, municipalities reaching out to us, the residents reaching out to us, asking us how they can help, what they can do. And we have told everyone to join us at rallies, to join us at prayer services. If they have the financial means, if they can donate to Fund to Aid Ukraine, which is the fund that we, the United Ukrainian Organizations, are using. But also, you know, it's been overwhelming. It really has. And we greatly appreciate that the city of Brooklyn has passed this resolution. So on behalf of the United Ukrainian Organizations of Ohio, I once again thank you. I thank you for standing in solidarity with Ukraine and also with the Ukrainian community here in the state of Ohio. And may God bless the United States of America. Glory to Ukraine. Slava Ukraini. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you for taking time to be here tonight as well. We will continue the public session at this time. If anyone has anything to say for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn, please step forward, state your name and address, and you'll be recognized. Please remember to keep your comments to 5 minutes or fewer.
Good evening, everyone. Victor Ardito, 7439 Outlook Avenue. I've heard at some other council meetings that I went to, but they're on the news, where people did not have to give their address. Is there a possibility for doing away with that in this council meetings? Something to think about. My other thing is quite political, is the last State of the Union address with President Biden. It was nice about what they talked about Ukraine, but the rest of the speech, if anybody paid attention, was very close to one of Trump's speech to be help America, build America great. And none of them, including Pelosi and that, wanted to lynch him or put him in jail or call a revote or whatever. So something to keep on mind on what's going on. And yes, this thing has settled the gas prices, but Biden has hit us hard before that. They wanted to cut back on Russia, and they said he would not allow opening up of some of the oil things here. My friends were telling me that they're giving out permits for land that no one can get to unless you get cargo helicopters. It's the middle of nowhere. It's prime location, but there's no feasible way to get to, but they have opened that land up for drilling, so it's great.
My name is Natasha Borowski, 10310 Manoa. As it seems the hot topic right now is the zoning, I wanted to bring to the attention of council, which I'm sure you all are aware by now, that there was a letter that was placed inside my mailbox regarding the possible rezoning of the west side of Manoa. On 2/14, Mr. Slattery had asked, does the city plan to notify the residents west of Manoa of the rezoning? In response, multiple council members agreed it was a good idea and it would be looked into on how and when it would be appropriate to notify the residents. 4 days later, I received this letter in my mailbox. I was very puzzled, as when I looked at the envelope, I realized someone just placed a stamp on it and put it through my mailbox and never processed through the USPS. I was furious as to who thought they were above the law to be opening my mailbox and putting whatever they want and possibly even taking whatever they wanted out of it. And when I opened the letter, the very first word said, "My name is Rob Slattery." The next sentence stated, "To be perfectly clear, I'm not an attorney." Well, clearly, because you would know it's illegal to place stuff inside people's mailboxes. Though I find it quite ironic with your current and previous job titles, you wouldn't know that. Who does he think he is to even open my mailbox, as it is a federal crime per 18 U.S. Code 1725, giving postal workers complete monopoly over mailboxes. Right off the bat, I felt violated and questioned if any of my other mail had been tampered with. So I continued to read the letter and was shocked to why he is notifying me when council just told him 4 days prior that it was going to be addressed. And the quote that stated in the letter, "It's already being discussed how to rezone your property without informing you or asking for your opinion or input." Again, council literally said 4 days beforehand they were working to create a plan to address it. And that's a lie saying they don't want the citizens' input or opinion, a complete lie. All I hear from council is how much they want people to start getting involved. Actions like this clearly show he's not for teamwork and not truly for the community. Makes me wonder what the true intentions really were. And being an actual resident on Manoa, I don't feel as though it mattered if I was notified today or 3 weeks from now. He stated it should have been immediately notified. Why? This is a continual discussed over the course of many months to come, and quite frankly, facts don't care about what your feelings and opinions. It's a fact that this will continue to be an ongoing process, and it's a fact you blatantly went against council even after they said they would take care of it, and you still chose to state words such as they don't want my input. I've heard multiple council members over the course of multiple meetings saying they want residents' input and feedback. The next meeting regarding zoning for the public, which I believe is in June, that's months from now. That's when I'll ask my questions and voice my concerns. Lastly, I was also confused why he left his phone number and contact information. Why would I contact him who has no title in this process? Why not put helpful information such as a way to contact the economic developer or someone actually on the zoning board advisory committee? I just wanted to share this information since I felt as though it's ridiculous someone's messing with my mail, one, and also someone using manipulative language trying to stir the pot and create unnecessary panic and controversy. And I wanted to make it clear, as I'm sure someone is going to claim Aaron had influenced me to come up here, and I'm saying that's 100% false. Aaron gets his time on council, and as a Brooklyn resident, I get mine. When you start to mess with my property and push your agenda on me for your own political gain, you're going to hear from me. Thanks.
Anyone else wish to make any comments? The good and welfare city of Brooklyn? All right, the next item we have on our agenda is our approval of our minutes dated February 28th, 2022. Are there any comments or questions regarding those minutes?
May I be recognized?
Yes.
Just a minor change, hang on page 2, under the school board report, I believe it's the 6th line from the bottom of that paragraph, where the word accommodation appears twice in that line, it just should be a and then commendation. There were 2 commendations that they adopted. And then on page 1, under the public comments, Mrs. Kroll addressed us regarding her concerns on the zoning, and she had some very thoughtful comments and questions, and I do think that those should be summarized there, like not just one sentence. So if we could maybe summarize, what her concerns and her questions so that we get that into the record, and then maybe we could take a look at it the next time if we defer them. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, thanks.
All right, we'll now move on with reports of committees, commissions, and boards. We begin this evening with the Committee of the Whole. We met this evening at 6:15. Prior to the council meeting, to discuss the following. First item was Resolution 2022-6. All of these next 5 items are up for adoption this evening for third reading and adoption. 2022-6 is the moratorium that council has passed. I think this will be the 3rd time on the issuance of permits for the small box discount stores. And the plan is to keep, it's for 180 days. The plan is to keep this moratorium on until the zoning code rewrite is completed. And this obviously will be addressed inside that code. Then next is Ordinance 2022-2. This is providing for the issuance and the sale of a note not to exceed $601,000. And this is the note that is rolling forward for the Recreation Center roof. The current outstanding balance and the amount of the note will be $601,000. We propose paying off $60,000 this year for a new amount of $541,000 at the end of this year. Next is Ordinance 2022-3. This is for the issuance of a sale of a note not to exceed $1,580,000. This is for the American Road construction that took place a couple of years ago. That current balance is $1,580,000. The plan is to pay down $200,000 this year. So at the end of this year, that amount would be $1,380,000. Ordinance 2022-4. This is the issuance and sale of another note for $560,000, and this was for the Rodone Road and Rodone Alley project that was completed a couple of years ago. That outstanding balance is $560,000, which would be the amount of the note. We do anticipate paying off that entire balance this year, so this will be the final time that we pass this note. And then lastly, under old legislation was Ordinance 2022-5. This is for the issuance and sale of a bond of $1.1 million, and this is to complete reconstructing and renovating for the city service garage at a total of $1.1 million. The plan is to pay that over 10 years. Resolution 2022-8 is on first reading to pass by suspension of the rules this evening. This is authorizing a cost community sharing agreement with the sewer district for the city storm and detention improvement projects. And this money is kept in an account for the sewer district for various projects in the city. Currently, our balance in that account is $464,245, and we anticipate collecting another $184,000 this year. And those funds will be used to offset some of the costs for the city center project overruns. Resolution 22-9, that was the resolution for Ukraine that we just adopted. Ordinance 2022-6. Oh, my computer just glitched, I apologize. Ordinance 2022-6. This is amending various sections of the ordinance of the city of Brooklyn. There were several changes when our new building commissioner was going through our code. And so these changes were discussed at the committee of the whole that is on first reading. Ordinance 2022-7. This authorizes the mayor to enter an agreement with the West Creek Conservancy for the sale and purchase of a vacant piece of property on Rodone Road. Their parcel number is 432-21-038. And this piece of property is basically just encompasses a part of West Creek. And so it's completely unusable land. It's on a cliff and the creek goes through it. And so we will be selling this to the West Creek Conservancy if adopted for $1, and that would go into their land bank. And that is on first reading. And then lastly is Ordinance 2022-8. This is adopting Section 133.03 moral claims of the codified ordinance of the city of Brooklyn. And this was something that was discussed at the last council meeting or committee of the whole meeting. And this would allow for individuals who get involved in some type of accident with their vehicle, with the safety forces vehicle. Our safety forces, when they're involved in transportation to and from an emergency, are exempt from any type of accidents, and they're not responsible for those claims. So therefore, if someone's car is hit, and they're kind of left stuck paying for that with their own insurance. And so the idea behind this is to at least pay for that deductible. And as written now, up to the first $1,000 for that moral claim would be at the discretion of the law director. Anything from $1,000 to $5,000, there would be a three-person commission comprised of the law director, the finance director, and the council president, or a designee from the council president, to discuss any of those moral claims from $1,000 to $5,000, and that is on first reading. That is all we discussed in committee of the whole. Again, those meetings do take place at 6:15 prior to the start of all council meetings. We'll now move on with our recreation board. Councilman Tansky.
Thank you. The Brooklyn Recreation Center coach pitch baseball and softball 8U ages 6 to 8 is now open and will run through March 31st. Practices begin in May and games in June. Teams will travel to North Olmsted, Fairview Park for games. Residents $55, non-residents $65. 10U, 12U, 14U baseball games and 10U, 12U, 15U softball games, ages 8 through 15 is now open and will run through March 31st. Practices begin in May and games begin in June. The teams will travel to Strongsville, Brook Park, North Olmsted, Olmsted Falls, Middleburg, Fairview Park for games. Residents $70, non-residents $80. Please visit www.brooklynrec.com for complete details. City of Brooklyn 2022 Community Enrichment Camp is for Brooklyn residents and students ages 5 to 12. City of Brooklyn, St. Thomas More, the Brooklyn City Schools are partnered to offer a camp that will promote a full day of student enrichment, education, healthy, active lifestyles. Summer camp will be held at the Brooklyn Recreation Center and St. Thomas More School, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Before care, 7 a.m. till 8 a.m., $5 daily fee. And after care, 4 p.m. till 5 p.m., $5 daily fee. First portion of the day will be an education and enrichment session. Each camper will have the session to complete enrichment educational activities assigned by camp directors and educators. These sessions will be held at St. Thomas More School and will be run by camp teachers and staff. The second portion of the day will include sports, gym games, crafts, nature walks, swimming, ice skating, and other activities planned by the camp staff. Field trips to be determined are included in the registration fee. Summer camp weekly sessions begin June 13th through August 12th. Camper fee is $120 weekly, $96 for second and third child. Brooklyn school students may be eligible for scholarships. Please contact Ted Caleres, superintendent at ted.caleres@bcshurricanes.org to apply. Campers must pack a non-perishable lunch and drink. A snack will be provided daily. Lunch assistance is available to those in need. Please let us know at registration if you need assistance. Swimming and skating lessons will also be available throughout the summer for registered camp participants. Information will be sent to parents regarding the schedule. Registration has begun and will run through May 1st. Families who register for all weeks needed by May 1st to reserve their spot. Register online at www.brooklynrec.com. The next Recreation Board meeting will be held on March 21st in the Rec Center meeting room at 7 p.m. And that concludes my report.
Thanks, sir. Sounds like a busy summer. Looking forward to it. We'll now move on with reports for the Public Safety and Environmental Committee. Councilwoman Shockey.
Thank you. The Safety and Environmental Committee met at 5:30 this evening prior to the council meeting. We had Sustainability Director Foley out from the county. We discussed the potential the county wants to create electrical microgrids, and Brooklyn is one of their top locations for this. It would be a great way to use local green energy, attract businesses, and potential for municipal buildings to use this energy as well. He came out, we had started this discussion at the last committee of the whole meeting a couple weeks ago, and so Director Foley was invited out to the Safety and Environmental Committee to have a further discussion, answer questions, and that ends my report.
Thank you. We'll now move on to our school board liaison, Councilman Pucci.
Thank you. Good evening. The school board met on March 1st, and they had a recap of the presentation for the capital study that they had undertaken. And this also included an explanation of the current levy cycles, along with some possible changes to those cycles and potentially new money. The PowerPoint presentation is available on the school board's board doc site. And they passed an agreement for the licensed interventionist at St. Thomas More, affirmed that they were going to be a member of the Ohio High School Athletic Association for the 2022-23 school year. They had first reading on some bylaws and policy updates. There were several hires, resignations, and retirements. They approved a food safety course for some of the employees, accepted a donation of $12,000 from the Music Boosters to go towards band uniforms. And the next meeting of the Brooklyn School Board is Wednesday, March 16th at 7 p.m. in room 173. There's also scheduled the second annual Hurricane Town Hall Community Update, and that's Wednesday, April 6th from 6 to 7 in room 173. There will be important updates from Dr. Caleres and administrators, and you can either attend in person or watch on the school's YouTube channel. And that completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is our Planning Commission, Councilwoman Rodick.
Thank you. The Planning Commission met on March 2nd. We approved two requests. The first one was a request for a Langen for a sign package for Amazon at 10575 Memphis Avenue. And we also approved a request from All Signs and Designs for an illuminated cabinet sign for Universal Cabinets and Tile, which will be located at 4324 Ridge Road. The next meeting of the Planning Commission will be April 6th at 6 p.m. That concludes my report.
Thank you. The Board of Zoning Appeals will meet March 17th. to discuss the following: a request from Frank and Carolina Walter for a variance from 14.6 foot to the required 35-foot rear depth for their proposed addition at 4076 Apple Creek Drive. A request from the same couple for a 2.55% variance, the allowable maximum lot coverage of 25% for an addition at 4076 Apple Creek Drive. And those meetings take place in, I believe, the conference room or in City Hall chambers. That is on March the 17th. We'll now move on with reports of council. We'll begin this evening with Mr. Selhertz.
Thank you. Just a couple things. For those of you that had a chance to see the school musical, you had a treat. There are a couple surprises. One of the teachers, Mr. Ross, in one of his roles was quite interesting. And it was really a super nice surprise. The young lady that played Matilda, great voice for a 6th grader. She's going to be around for a while, so definitely try to go see her. Just really nice. Councilman Borowski and I will be out tentatively this Saturday talking to the residents. They have adjoining yards on Summer and Kennedy. We're going to try to, for the 3rd and final time, try to get some kind of resolution to some of this water residual problem. So we're going to be going out, handing out a survey. You can do the residents there can do the survey online. They can fill it out. They can send it back in. If they want, they can even call us. We'll come out and pick it up. We're trying to make it as easy as possible. Hopefully, when we get everything back, we'd like to try to go out there and have a meeting in the neighborhood with the residents. I know it only affects a couple residents, but it's like an all or nothing option with the solution. So we need to try to get this resolved once and for all. And then thank you to Aaron for working on resolution 2022-9. Not Ukrainian, but that kind of hits home a little bit. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
Next up, Mrs. Pucci.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Mr. Fetke, Mr. Ardito, and Mrs. Browski for speaking this evening. And just want to remind residents with the time change this past weekend to please make sure you check the batteries in your smoke detector and your CO detectors. Hopefully by now most of you have the ones that are good for 10 years, but it is also a good idea to test them. And if you do need batteries or smoke detectors, contact the Brooklyn Fire Department and they will get one to you. March 3rd, I attended the pre-audit conference, and this year we are back with the state auditors conducting the audit. They had outsourced our audit to a private auditor, and they have a rule that after 10 years you go back with the auditor. So we are back with the auditor. And that completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Mr. Borowski.
So obviously there's a lot going on in the city of Brooklyn, but worldwide as well. Currently there is a war being fought thousands of miles away. Russia has wrongly made the motion to invade Ukraine. I want to thank Mr. Butler and Mary Jo for the help in writing up the resolution that we passed tonight. And I'm proud of the fact that we as a city stood up and supported that. And it pretty much said that, Brooklyn, Ohio stands with Ukraine and all the nations that strive for peace. Also, following up on what's going on in the city right now with zoning and so forth, on March 2nd, I went out onto Manoa and I spoke to 15 residents on the west side about the zoning change updates. We're currently in the early stages of the process, and there was general concern about the idea that maybe there was already plans drawn up and put into place. For me, I think that's incorrect and it's inappropriate of anyone to say otherwise. I re-explained the process of the zoning update changes and where we're at currently. And again, we're in the discussion portion of all of this, so we want the residents' feedback. And I want to personally thank Kelly Kroll for speaking 2 weeks ago. We had a good phone call about it as well. There is general concern, and the only way we're going to address that concern is by keeping the community involved. So again, thank you, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Mr. Tansky.
Thank you. We'd like to remind everyone that this Thursday is St. Patrick's Day, and we'd like to wish all the residents and their families a safe and happy holiday. This year's spring Easter egg hunt will be held on April 9th from 11 a.m. till noon at the Senior Center, Veterans Park. Watch the Brooklyn Rec Facebook page and website for more information. I also would like to thank Councilman Borowski's resolution 2022-9. Forgot to give a good shout out last week. I'd like to congratulate Lieutenant James Mochan on his retirement from the Brooklyn Fire Department. Thank you for your long service to our community. Best wishes and good luck. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Grodick.
Thank you. I also would like to thank Councilman Borowski for preparing the resolution. And also, our guest spoke about the outpouring of donations. And we are so generous to those in need. But with our generosity often comes those who will take advantage of us. Please make sure if you are giving to a group that you think is going to help the people of Ukraine, that you do a little research. Try and find legitimate organizations. It's just really important right now. It's too easy to take advantage of our well wishes. So we want to make sure that if we are giving, it actually is going to where we need it to go to. I also would like to congratulate Mrs. Cipriani and Mr. Sullivan and the cast and crew of Matilda. I was watching the play and it occurred to me that the seniors that were on stage have not had a full production since they were freshmen due to COVID. 3 years, 2019 was their last full production. So after a stoppage of 2 years, hopefully that will be the end of it, and this year's freshmen will be able to experience 4 full years of productions. So thank you to them for a wonderful performance, one busy weekend. As a past mom of the drama club, I know how much incredible work goes into those short performances and then it's done. But it certainly is a learning experience for all involved. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Mrs. Ranchaki.
To continue what Mrs. Grodick was saying, last Thursday I was able to make it out to the musical, and it was a great performance, and I do want to congratulate all the student staff and the parents because I know it's a lot of work. Not a parent myself yet, but my mom was always one of those who had come out to every activity that my sisters and I were doing. So I understand now as an older adult what all work and effort that is. Now that spring is in the air, at least for today, and homeowners might be thinking about home renovations, I do want to remind residents about the Heritage Home Program and the presentations that they offer. This month, they have a couple of different presentation options. The first is a Rehab 101, which is occurring virtually on March 23rd at 6 o'clock. The second one is the information sessions of services that Heritage Home offers. So these are occurring online on March 16th and 30th at 6 o'clock, and one in person at North Olmsted City Hall on March 28th at 6 o'clock. You can register on the phone at 216-426-3116. And finally, I do just want to talk briefly about the zoning rewrite. You know, nothing that's been done about this has been done in secret. We've held meetings, we've put information out. I completely understand how busy everyone gets and you can't watch every council meeting, you can't always keep up with everything. But the great part is that the spring newsletter should have just arrived at your house. I believe mine came last weekend, or maybe a week ago, and there's an entire page dedicated to information about this process, where we are, what we've done, and where we're going. It also gives you the website that you can go to, www.brooklynohzoning.com, that allows you to view accurate information. And the council, administration, everyone up here welcomes your questions, your concerns, and your feedback. It will take all of us to make sure that this passes. We aren't just doing this process to spend the money and go through the motions and not put it into, see it out through the end. So I do want to say, I know I've gotten a couple of emails, as all of us on here on council have. Recently about this, we've had several people come and talk at council meetings, which is great, but continue to make your voice heard, ask questions, come to the community meetings, and together, we can move Brooklyn forward. That ends my report.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. I know I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I think it's bears repeating to thank Mr. Borowski for the resolution this evening and the law director for writing it up. This year at our school, at Heritage Christian School, we've had a large influx actually of Ukrainian students in our school this year, and so I developed quite a friendship with their parents there, and actually 2 of their fathers are over there right now. That are over there putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak, to trying to help with humanitarian aid over there. And so thank you so much for that. And it's disconcerting. The Russian people are struggling as well. That for the most part, they're not involved in this at all either. So it is incumbent upon us to keep them in our prayers. It's sometimes easy to forget because they're on the other side of the world, but if it was happening in our backyard, we would certainly want the support and the prayers. And so thank you to all those who have donated. I know that we've had a couple of drives at our school, and the support has been overwhelming to send stuff there. So thank you for putting that together. I also want to thank Mr. Foley for coming to the sustainability, or not the sustainability, what was the public safety and environmental, we have too many committees, right? The Public Safety and Environmental Committee meeting, answer a lot of questions on that. So I want to thank him for coming out, and thank you, Ms. Ryan Shockey, for putting that meeting together. All right, with that, I will turn it over to the mayor.
Thank you, Council President Van Kirk. First, again, Aaron, thank you. I appreciate you thinking about this. It's important. I think this war in particular hits close to home to a lot of us. I know that my daughter goes to school with a lot of Ukrainian people, and her grandparents are living there. And so they're going with this daily update of what's going on with their families, and it's just heartbreaking. I don't know if anyone saw, CNN did a story connecting Parma just because of the high percentage of Ukrainian population living there. And just to hear some of the stories about family members and that strong tie, it was a really good story, so check it out. And it's just so sad that we're going through this right now. It makes you feel very lucky to live in the country that we do, where we could feel safe every day. I apologize on a couple of these updates. I meant to give them in the committee as a whole, but now's as good as time as any. Council, I sent out an email a couple weeks ago about university hospitals requesting some of our ARPA money, about $10,000. I did meet with them last week. They were requesting $10,000 to go towards their critical care unit. I updated Ron about this and asked him how he wished to proceed. Some updates from that meeting. They stated that they're running about $11 million deficit in capital investments. They are requesting 0.87 from all their community cities of ARPA money. They started with this 0.8%, 0.87% amount because it was $200,000 of what Parma received. And then they took that percentage and asked for it from Brooklyn Heights, Parma Heights, Broadview, and North Royalton. And so far they've gotten commitments from Brooklyn Heights, and we're close on a commitment from Broadview Heights. They explained just the impacts of COVID on the hospital system as a whole. I did express some of my reservations about it and told them ultimately this is not my money, this is city money, so we would have to talk collectively. I wanted to give you all that information. If you have any questions, you can ask tonight or follow up in an email to me. They did ask if you guys would like for them to come out and explain this directly to them so you can ask any questions. And in that meeting, in other news, most of you guys know Brooklyn has a board member currently on Parma UH. We will no longer have a board member because University Hospital System is consolidating their boards. They're going to have a west side board, an east side board, and a downtown board. So Parma will join with St. John's and another hospital on the west side, and I don't recall which hospital it is. And they will have 8 to 9 members per board, and then the chair of those boards will then serve on the downtown board as well, or the main board. So we are losing our board membership if they don't retain Scott Wilkinson, which is our board representative. So again, let me know what you'd like me to do. If you would like me to invite them to the next meeting, again, they're requesting $10,000 of our ARPA money. As Mr. Butler has pointed out to me, this would have to go through City Council via legislation anyways, so just let me know how to proceed. Again, at the next city council meeting, we will have an update from Jason Oldie from GPD, from Robin from Bowen, as well as Chris Montgomery about the overruns for the city center. I asked them to hold off. They were going to come tonight, but I asked them to hold off because there were a couple missing numbers. I asked that I'd rather have a full picture because I think it just confuses the situation otherwise. So they will be coming to the next meeting. Another update I sent over to you is Greenway Trails. It is a resolution in support of the Greenway Trails project. Again, this doesn't commit you to anything other than you support Greenway Trails, so I'm looking for feedback on that. I don't want to put a piece of legislation on that and ultimately get not approved. Meg mentioned that a city newsletter went out and hopefully everyone received it. I know I did not receive the last one, and I don't know if it was because of mail. I received this one last week. It's a good source of information. It's got a lot of stuff going on there about every single department. I find it valuable just even reading over just to update things, here of high-level things. So, please let me know if you haven't received it. Your house will make sure you get on the list for some reason if you are not there, or if you're having problems with your mail. We'd like to say something to our mail carriers. I want to thank everyone who came out for coffee with the mayor at a good showing last Friday. A lot of good feedback, and we appreciate that. I know the directors, hear a lot of the bad stuff. That's when people tend to call, but there was a lot of really good positive feedback. A lot of people appreciative of the services that the city provides and just the quality of services. I know Mr. Verba got beat up pretty hard with these snowstorms, and he got a lot of good feedback from residents about senior driveways especially, and so I think that was well-deserved but needed too. It keeps you going. Other update I wanted to give is we talked about some of the key bank withholdings being behind. Jeremy did get an update that Key Bank's renovation over in their building is coming to a close on one of them, so we will see more employees coming back in April. Stay tuned. We'll see if our withholdings go up there. And then I'm hoping I'm not stealing Chief Paul's report, but I wanted to welcome our new firefighter, Gus Ruggiero. I thought it was cute. He had this picture of him as a little kid, and it was in Brooklyn uniform. One of our current firefighters, Dennis Williams' family members, used to nanny for him, so it comes full circle, and now he's back in Brooklyn as a firefighter. So I thought that was really cute, and so I had Jill take a picture of the picture so we could post it, because it's not all the time you have a cute story like that. And then last, I wanted to give a shout out to Jack Abruzzi, Maria McGinty, Rachel, everybody in the recreation center. My daughter's part of the recreation volleyball, and the program was so big that they were able to double all the teams for all the ages. And it was very reminiscent of when I was a kid and some of the programs that had and how popular it was. And also a shout out to the school coaches. They'll be doing teaching coaches, the volunteer parents on how to coach right, but also doing clinicals with the kids. So it's a really good relationship, and hopefully it's a good feeder for the school for those students that are going to go to Brooklyn schools. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We do just have one director's report, and that is Chief Paul. I think the mayor still is thunder.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Van Kirk. The mayor didn't steal all my thunder, but thank you. The fire department is happy to announce the recent hiring of 2 full-time firefighter paramedics. Like the mayor said, firefighter paramedic Gus Ruggiero was sworn in by herself on March 7th, and firefighter paramedic Nicholas Kuntz will be sworn in on March 21st. There are some people I'd like to thank for their assistance during this process. One would be the guys at the fire station that helped me with the interview process. Our Civil Service Commission and Celeste Westfall, our Civil Service Commission Secretary. She always does a great job. And that completes my report.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
We'll now move on with our legislation for this evening. The first item we have is a notification. The 2022 Community Recycling Awareness Grant from the County Solid Waste District That is a grant that's been granted to the City of Brooklyn for $750, and this will help offset the cost for our shred day that will take place later this year. So we thank the Solid Waste District for that grant. Resolution 2022-6, extending a moratorium imposed by Resolution 2021-25 on the acceptance and processing, granting of applications for zoning, occupancy, and/or building permit approvals for small box discount stores and the issuance of such approvals in the City of Brooklyn for a period of 180 days and declaring an emergency. Any comments or questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
To adopt, Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-2, providing for the issuance and sale of not to exceed $601,000 of notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds to pay costs of reconstructing, renovating, rehabilitating, and otherwise improving the roof or portions thereof of the city's recreation center as designated in the plans approved by council and declaring an emergency. Comments or questions?
I have a comment. Me and Mr. Verba have had phone conversations about the roofs that we're speaking of tonight, and I was actually able to see photos as well. Definitely a lot of damage and a lot of issues going on, so I appreciate the fact that we're looking at that tonight. That's all I've got.
Right. Move to adopt.
Second.
To adopt, Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-3, providing for the issuance and sale of not to exceed $1,580,000 of notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds to pay costs of extending American Road by constructing, grading, draining, paving, construction curbs, gutters, and driveway aprons, installing storm sewers, and making other improvements as designated in the plans approved by council and declaring an emergency. Any comments or questions? All right, move to adopt.
Second.
To adopt, Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-4, providing for the issuance and sale of not to exceed $560,000 of notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds to pay costs of reconstructing road-owned road and road-owned alley and declaring an emergency. Any additional comments or questions on this? All right, move to adopt.
Second.
To adopt, Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-5, providing for the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $1,100,000 for the purpose of paying costs of reconstructing, renovating, rehabilitating, and otherwise improving the roof or portions thereof of the city's service garage together with all necessary apparatus thereto. Any comments or questions? Move to approve.
Second.
To adopt, Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
On first reading, we hope to pass by suspension of the rules. Resolution 2022-8, authorizing a community cost-sharing agreement with the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District for the City Center Storm and Detentions Improvements Project. Any comments or questions?
Introduced by all to suspend the rules.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
To adopt, Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
The last three ordinances are on first reading. Ordinance 2022-6, amending various sections of the codified ordinances of the City of Brooklyn in order to update administrative provisions and regulations with respect to the building department. Ordinance 2022-7, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the West Creek Conservancy for the sale and purchase of vacant City of Brooklyn land bank property on Road-on Road, parcel 432-21-038 for $1 and other good and valuable consideration. Ordinance 2022-8, adopting section 133.03 moral claims of the codified ordinances to provide for the resolution of moral claims.
May I be recognized?
Yes.
Just on this last one, there was conflicting reports on this as to what direction to go with 2022-8. So if you could independently email Kevin do not email altogether, and let them know what direction so we know where to take this, whether we're modifying it or not. Thank you.
That concludes our agenda for this evening. Does anyone on council, the mayor, administration, have anything to add?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Just for the record, I would have been proud to have been the author in any way of that resolution with respect to Ukraine. Mary Jo, our council clerk, really worked closely with Councilman Borowski to put that together, and I only gave it a quick review and apparently didn't do a good enough job of it. Maybe amended it on the floor, but in any event, I wanted to make sure the credit was where it was due. Thanks.
Very good, sir. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Just have a safe and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Move to adjourn.
Second. To adjourn, Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed evening.